This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly recap of your Philadelphia Eagles. Broadcasting live from Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia, tonight's show is brought to you by Penn Community Bank, Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia, Independence Blue Cross, The Capitol Grill, Rob's Automotive and Collision, and BCWSA. We now go live to the Hard Rock Cafe in downtown Center City, Philadelphia for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
And welcome everybody to the beautiful Hard Rock Cafe here at 12th and Market for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, also heard on 107.3 FM and on Facebook Live. Paul Domowitch, my co-host. Our guest tonight is former Eagle tight end John Spagnola. Obviously a hot time here in Philadelphia with another team doing pretty well. The Bull Session, the baseball show, will take place right after ours as the city gets ready for the World Series. Mr. Domowitch, how you doing tonight?
Doing fine, Jolly. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I was thinking tonight, Dom, I used to work in the U.S. Senate with a senator from Indiana named Birch Bayh. And Birch Bayh had a son named Evan Bayh who was also a senator. And they were both big football fans. They both got a week named after him this week that the Eagles observed the bye week. What with Indiana does this have to do? Am I mistaking something? And did I see it the wrong way?
Jolly.
That's all I get, jolly.
That sense of humor of yours is, there are no words for it.
Stop right there. What did you do during your bye week? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I did. Great time watching a lot of Phillies games like everybody else. And, yeah, it was terrific.
All right, our guest tonight was a tight end for the Eagles in a little game in 1981 we called the Super Bowl. So he knows what it's like when a town gets excited over a big game. We'll talk to him about that and his career around the NFL. John Spagnola, how are you? Thanks for being here.
Good, Jolly. Good to be here tonight with you. I was wondering to myself, why would I come on a show after a bye week with the Eagles? There's nothing to analyze. But
no loss, that's for sure.
That's right. But I was at the Citizens Bank Park yesterday. Saw that game in person. One of the great sports memories ever.
Yeah.
It's just a terrific event.
You were born in Bethlehem, so you're a Philly guy through and through.
Yep.
When another team, obviously you played football, this is about baseball. Right now we got the Union in their semifinals. Flyers and Sixers just started off somewhat differently, but how excited do you get about other Philly sports? You an all-around sports fan?
All-around sports fan, yep. And you referenced the 80 team that went to the 81 Super Bowl, but that was the City of Champions year. That's when all four sports teams went to the final.
Only one of them won, though.
I think, we only won one, but you might see something similar to that this year.
What was the relationship between the players on the different teams back then?
Well, with the Phillies, it was easy. We shared the vet, so we shared the same shower. And we'd come off the practice field in September, around 4 o'clock or so when practice ended, and Pete Rose would be dressed and ready to go in our locker room. Nobody in the Phillies locker room yet. Pete was already fully dressed and ready to go. And so, we would interact with the guys.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, John. I remember losing some money. I bet Pete once 9 to 5 that he wouldn't be dressed by 4 o'clock, and he was. So he took some money off me that day. But
absolutely.
Life happens in that way. How excited do you remember in 1980 when you said all four teams made the finals, when you were going to the Super Bowl, the Eagles' first Super Bowl down in New Orleans? Did it relate to this? Is there something in the modern age with millennials and the 11-year drought in baseball and kind of a drought overall since the Eagles' Super Bowl? How do you compare the two times?
I think they're very similar. I think the Philadelphia fan is unique in their ability to scold their players, visceral kind of booing, not just booing. It goes down to the bones. There's kind of generational. I heard a father once, tell me a story about how he taught his son how to boo and when to boo and
how
things
to
like
boo?
Yeah.
What did he explain?
Well, it was just simply, it was a game, I forget what it was, but he knew before halftime the Eagles were running out of time and they were going to try a field goal, and he had noticed that the field goal kicker didn't have his helmet on the sideline, and he started booing 20 seconds before anybody else did. And I said, as a father, your son's standing there, you taught him not how to boo, but when to boo. He said, "It's one of my proudest moments as a father." I kid you not. And so, yesterday I had a perfect vantage point of Bryce Harper's home run because I was kind of on the first base side. I didn't know it would go out until I looked at the outfielders and realized they weren't moving. But it wasn't a yay. It was an oh. Like everybody was yelling, oh, like, oh, did you see that? It was great. And, the excitement was similar 40-some years ago. I was in Minnesota, and watched that Super Bowl win by the Eagles 7 years ago or so. Those are special moments, and you live for them because we've gone through, the tough times too.
All right, Tom, I want to ask you and John both this question. You're from Scranton, basically area. John's from Bethlehem.
Mm-hmm.
People are people, and that is what it is. And go with cliches, but there's a reason I'm using these cliches. People talk about the Vet, Citizens Bank Park, the Link being the loudest of the loud when their team makes it this far. People can yell anywhere. 50,000 people in any stadium anywhere can yell and be passionate fans. Are they really louder here? You've been pretty much everywhere, Damo. I've been here. I've been a lot of places, too. Are Philly fans louder than anybody else, or are human beings, and every city thinks that of themselves?
Well, I'd definitely put them in the top 5. I mean, you go to a game in the Midwest, they're different.
Yeah, they sure
St.
are.
Louis?
Look, I played for the Packers in my last year. We were losing by 21 points once, and we made a first down with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they cheered. And I looked around and thought, what is wrong with these people in Lambeau? Are you kidding me? They were cheering, and it was in earnest. It wasn't like they were faking it. I would say stadiums are loud, to your question, but nobody boos deeper than they boo in Philadelphia.
Get it both ways, huh?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious about it. Booing.
It's funny, when they tore down the Vet and moved to the Link, there were a lot of people that were unhappy because they didn't think they thought the building was too nice to be the way they acted at the Vet, and that kind of was the way it was for a long time. I think the decibel level wasn't quite what it was. You didn't have people throwing beers around at people. a lot of positives, obviously, but
if you domed the Link, it would take off like a spaceship in the booing. It would spiral and take off. I believe that.
Well, we got after our show, we had the Bull Session, co-hosted by Dan Baker, the PA announcer for the last 50 years. Who's the absolute best, a legend, and Dickie Knowles, who played in your era, John, and they have Gary Matthews, the sergeant, as a guest. Were you friends with Dickie or Gary?
I used to run into him, yeah, quite a bit, yeah. But I don't see him now or anything like that.
What Damo said at the beginning is an interesting reference because Jalen Hurts, seen at the games, the Sixer game, the Phillies games this week, Joel Embiid. It's nice to have that community. You mentioned you shared the shower. I'll leave it at that. With the you get the point.
Yeah.
But
Charles Barkley was a rookie. I mean, I play golf with Charles.
Really?
When he comes, he's in the Philly area in the
spent a
summer.
couple weeks playing golf.
But it was all, he used to come to our games. He followed all the sports and stuff. So yeah. We used to hang. I think it was a lot easier, perhaps back then, because we shared more facilities. Now they don't share the facilities as much.
I always got the sense too that players from different sports kind of have an admiration for players that excel in another sport.
Absolutely. And not only that, most good athletes play multiple sports when they're kids.
Right.
So I'm a basketball fan. I'm a hockey fan. I played those sports. I played baseball, so I love following those sports.
Well, I'm going to bring up something, John, that not just sports-wise, but you did a lot of stuff as a kid. I'm not sure. I haven't really invalidated all of our other guests, but I have validated you for this. It's one thing to be because I have 2 nephews who are Eagle Scouts, and an Eagle Scout is a pretty cool accomplishment when you're a kid. They're Eagle Scouts, but they're not in the Eagle Scout Hall of Fame. You're in the Eagle Scout. I didn't realize there was an Eagle Scout Hall of Fame. How does one get in the Eagle Scout Hall of Fame?
Well, if you can't get into Canton, Ohio, they have this thing called. I always said if you added a 0 to all my stats, I'd be a shoo-in. But I'm not sure how that all came about either. Obviously, somebody advocated for me, and I wound up in it, and it's a great honor to do that. Achieving the Eagle rank is something that I'm very proud of, and glad to hear people who are also at that level.
That's your nephews.
But a lot of it is just sort of if you grow up in the right community, I'm sort of a product of my community. It takes a village kind of thing. Fortunately, I had a lot of parents and dads who were really involved, and the troop was really involved, and everybody wound up getting to Eagle Scout. So I wound up doing the same thing.
I peeked out at Life.
Yeah,
Life
right.
Scout.
There you go.
Life Scout?
Do you still have your merit
My
badge
sheath,
stash?
absolutely. I brought it with me. I'll put it on later on for you.
John fell only short in life.
You know what the easiest merit badge I ever got was? Rabbit raising merit badge.
What?
Rabbit raising merit badge. You take a female rabbit, put it with a male rabbit, and put them in a coop, and after a while, you've got a family of rabbits, and you get a merit badge.
You got a merit badge.
All you have to do is feed them.
Well, you got a lot of merit badges, John, along the way. Domo, you sound like you got some too. But John, the only kind of detour John hit in life, John didn't do so well in high school, so he was forced to not attend Penn and attend Yale, which had a little problem against Penn on Saturday. My Quakers are undefeated now. Mm-hmm. You happen to go to the game on Saturday, where we had a protest at halftime that neither of us is a big fan of. Delayed the game for an hour, but when they cleared the dust, our Quakers got it done, huh?
They did. I saw it 20-13. I think the football coach conspired with the students to protest because I think Yale had a good second quarter and they wanted to slow them down a little bit. I mean, I saw the box score, and that's all I could discern. I mean, when you're that desperate that you got to put students out on the field to protest, what was it? Climate change?
Yeah, climate change,
fossil
investing
fuels,
in fossil fuels,
all that kind of stuff. I mean,
ridiculous.
shouldn't they go and protest in the Office of Development and the Chief Investment
I'm
Office?
all for it,
Why
by
are they
the
doing
way.
it on the football field? I don't get
Because we
that.
wouldn't be talking about him right
Absolutely,
now.
I'm all for exercising your human
They
rights.
wouldn't be on WBCB right now.
At a football game?
Well, I'm going to go, protest at the next Women's Studies lecture. How's that?
Don, well, the question I have for you, protests we talk about in college. Yesterday, two officials at the Tampa Bay Carolina game, which Tampa Bay got thumped 21-3, apparently asked Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans for his autograph after the game.
I heard about
Or a
that.
little trouble before it. How the hell does a ref do that?
I hadn't heard that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spags, you heard about that?
I caught the quick blurb. They're investigating. I think they suspended the officials pending an investigation, all that kind of stuff.
There's just some stuff that's just so ridiculously out of whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand how this world works sometimes with some kind of stuff. But the Eagles had a bye, obviously, 6-0. John, back in the Super Bowl year, you guys weren't 6-0 or anything. But when did you first think, back in 1980, you could go all the way to the Super Bowl? And are you getting the same feeling now with these Eagles?
Well, I was fortunate because I missed the turnaround part of the Eagles with Vermeil in 76, 77. So they eked into the playoffs with the miracle in the Meadowlands. As every Eagle fan knows, in 78, lost to Atlanta at the end of the field goal kick. I was part of the 79 team, so we got through the wild card. Went to Tampa Bay, lost that game in the conference or the divisional final. But it seemed like, just every year we were taking these measured steps. So by 80, it was sort of 2 years of playoffs, a little bit better each year. And that was our expectation, to win the conference, to get the home bye, to have home field advantage, and we did all that. And then, so it really, just kind of a one thing after another, and we added players. We were able to draft some draft choices. And as you know, Coach Vermeil coached everybody up and made everybody who played at a certain level. Everybody played at a higher level because he didn't have the, ability to tap into free agency and high draft choices and stuff. So I was just sort of swept along with that program. Those were expectations that we fulfilled.
The year after the Super Bowl, John, you guys started 6-0.
Yeah, we did.
The first year, the first of the 3 years that
I think we finished 10-6 though.
10-6,
Yeah,
and then lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Giants. I was going to ask you if you recall, like, kind of what happened. Was there? I mean, could you sense something different?
Yeah, I think the fatigue of playing in the Super Bowl. You play a month longer than everybody else. You have a month less to heal and work out in the off season, and you're getting over bumps and bruises. I think we were worn out a little bit during that season. And the schedule got tougher, and you have a bullseye on you when you win when you're in the Super Bowl. So all that sort of came home to bear. I think we were a better team though, honestly. And I think we had a fumbled punt, fumbled kickoff. It was LT's first game. Yeah, and it's just we should have never lost that game.
Didn't the last 8 teams? Maybe this isn't current, and maybe I got it screwed up, but 8 teams in a row to lose the Super Bowl and miss the playoffs the next year. I mean, there's something to be said about that extra month. It's not just
it's
a
brutal.
theory, but it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's absolutely brutal.
Yep. All right, folks, we got a lot of stuff going on here at the Hard Rock Cafe, and in addition, it is game time. Enter to win a pair of Eagles tickets for the Eagles-Packers game Sunday, November 27th. Will the Eagles still be undefeated? Who knows? No purchase is necessary. Just submit your business card or your name, phone number, and email here at the Hard Rock Cafe, 12th and Market Streets. Look forward to that and hopefully win a couple tickets. There's happy hour every Monday to Friday from 5 to 7 here at the Hard Rock. $1 off Bud Light, Sam Adams, and Blue Moon drafts. $6 House Chardonnay and Merlot. $5 Smirnoff. And Cruzade Rum singles, liquor drinks. $7 for doubles. And you can double your sports talk Mondays from 5 to 7 for another couple weeks here at Hard Rock with the Monday Night Kickoff Show and the Phillies Bowl session. Talk Phillies playoff, now the World Series, while enjoying some great food and our happy hour specials all at the Hard Rock Cafe, 12th and Market, where we come back with our special guest Eagles tight end John Spagnola with Paul Domowitch right after this. Stay with us.
Hard Rock Cafe in Center City at 12th and Market Streets has it all. Great food takes center stage with dine-in and pickup available. Their burgers are so famous, they have their own chauffeurs. So order delivery and catering too. So if you're celebrating or just getting the band together, Hard Rock Cafe's got your back. For more info, hit up hardrockcafe.com.
I'm Lisa Thomas Laurie. If you're on Medicare, I've got great news. Keystone 65 HMO plans from Independence Blue Cross have earned 5 stars, Medicare's highest rating for 2022. Some plans have no monthly premiums, no deductibles, and no copays for primary care visits and some prescription drugs. Don't wait. Visit ibxmedicare.com/star.
Every year, Medicare evaluates plans based on a 5-star rating system. Keystone 65 offers HMO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Keystone 65 Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. This is a paid endorsement.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Fall into relaxation at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. For an introductory price of just $69.95, enjoy the tranquility of their massage services and the rejuvenating glow their facial services provide. They even have specialty services such as a pumpkin facial or their signature hot stone massage. Restore, relax, and reset at one of Hand and Stone's 57 locations in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, for an introductory price of just $69.95. Call or book online at handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
We now return to the Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia in downtown Center City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
All right, welcome back to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show live from Hard Rock Cafe, Philly. Don't forget you can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and Facebook Live by searching WBCB Sports. John Spagnola is with us. John, Eagles are 6-0. You're a very smart guy. We're going to talk about your financial career in a little bit and then what it's like to play on a team and how much that helped you. But this Eagle team, obviously Jalen Hurts playing great. The defense with Jonathan Gannon a little bit more aggressive, got better players. We know the wide receivers and special teams a little weak. But in your opinion, the Eagles are 6-0. The biggest reason is blank.
They don't have any weaknesses. I mean, they're really consistent across the board. They may not have the best quarterback, but Hurts is, really improving. Last year he was sort of a first read, maybe second read, takeoff run guy. He's willing to hang in the pocket, go through his progression, and he still can run. That offensive line is strong and deep. Last 2 games, they have just run time-killing drives at the end to close the game. If you line up in the NFL and you tell another team, we're going to run the ball, and you can still run the ball, and they know you're going to run the ball, I mean, that's just a great advantage. That means your physical ability and your physicality is greater than the other team. I mean, you just don't impose your will that often in the NFL. They can do that.
Well, Dama, one of the questions I have for you regarding this is last Sunday night during the introductions, Jordan Mailata didn't give his high school or his college. He said Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, And the Eagles obviously have a terrific offensive line. They have terrific backups. You could argue that their backups might be a top 10 or 12 offensive line in the NFL, but people start for a reason, and there's certain people who may not be irreplaceable, but you're not going to have the same game with them without them. We saw Micah Parsons, what he did with and without Lane Johnson in the game. Lane Johnson got a concussion. He's had concussions before. He's had depression before. If Lane Johnson misses a couple weeks, could it hurt the Eagle offense and what they can do? Because there's certain people a team can't afford to lose, and to me, one of the Eagles is Lane Johnson.
Well, it weakens them, but I mean, not everybody that's going to be lining up against Jack Driscoll is Micah Parsons.
True.
And they also will have some time to kind of figure out a formula for help, giving them some more help than they did that game. But I mean, we have no sense that Lane's not going to be ready to play next week unless you know something.
My gut is that he's not. John, obviously in your day, concussions weren't what they are now. I mean, you talked about Jaws, you talked about getting
they
this
weren't
belt on.
any.
I always tell people, here was our concussion protocol. They put fingers in front of your face. Now, you always knew they would not put 1 digit or 4 digits. They would do 2 or 3, because 1 is too easy to see, even if you see it's blurry, and 4 is too hard. So they wanted you back in the game. So they'd give you a 2 or a 3. You had a 50% chance of getting back in the game. I mean, seriously, that was concussion protocol.
How many do you think you got during your career? Really?
One that I distinctly remember, oddly enough, it was 1984. I played the whole second half in La La Land and caught a touchdown pass at the end of the game to win the game.
Remember it.
Yeah, and it was an out of body experience. I was like, I could see myself down on the field. I'm not kidding you. But
one thing said with concussions, I've heard this with boxing, with any sport, young, virile athletes think they can go on forever, think it'll be no problem. They'll worry about 80 when they're 80. But since then, I mean, we know a lot more about concussions. Were you ever actually worried? You say, I probably shouldn't be playing like this. Maybe something's wrong with me. Down the road, it could affect me. Did that ever come in your mind? Did it come into the mind of anybody that told you anything like that to play with you? What were concussions perceived as back then?
It didn't concern me as much. When I came out of football, I played linebacker and tight end, and I always liked linebacker more. And then when I saw the one-on-one hitting that went on in practice, or the 9-on-7, the inside running drills that we used to run, I was so thankful I didn't play linebacker, because the collisions, especially in a 30 scheme, the collisions between the guard and the linebackers when they both have 2-yard, 3-yard running starts are just violent. Yeah. And they would occur over and over and over in the same 20-minute period. And then you multiply that times days and practices and everything, and then the games themselves. The tight end linebacker collisions were not violent. Like we're trying to hook them or get inside of them or seal them off. Rarely were we the point of attack, and if we were point of attack, we were double teaming with a tackle. So to answer your question, no, it didn't really concern me as much.
It was unconscionable back in the 90s when the league started to know then the long-term effects of brain trauma.
Yeah.
And they ignored it. They hid it.
They did.
It was that's, anybody that hasn't seen the movie that came out about 10 years ago, Concussion, really needs to see it. There are a lot of people whose lives were destroyed because of the fact that they did not want their game ruined by concussions.
Right. Yeah, they stonewalled it. They used the same, sort of tobacco industry approach to it.
Yep.
But now, I think they've come full circle,
Yeah.
and there's so limited hitting in training camp. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Plus, there's really just the way schemes are run today, Damo. You're not just seeing that straight on running with the lead, the I formation tailback with the lead fullback.
Yeah.
You just don't see it that much. It seems like you're stretching, finding a pocket and going. It's a lot of zone blocking concepts. So I think the hitting, if I were to ballpark, it's like 80% reduced. It's like 20% of what it was.
Has it come too far, John? Is this a violent sport that you have to accept a certain amount of risk and contact in that we're not willing to accept now? In your opinion, is it the right place? We find a happy medium. Where do you stand on that?
I think they've done a really good job dialing back the hits across the middle, the shots to the head, the launching, all that kind of stuff. You still see the Tua Tagovailoa, or however you say his name. He got thrown down a couple weeks ago. He hit the back of his head.
Yep.
He went into a spasm.
Yeah.
The whole world saw that. The whole world reacted. But honestly, I didn't think it was that big a deal. I just thought, this is what you see hockey players. It happens to them quite frequently when they get hit the ice and the helmet isn't, where it should be. And it's still going to happen. I mean, but I believe the protections are just so much greater than they were before that you're still at risk. But it's not nearly what it used to be. It doesn't go back to the old days.
I was impressed after the Tua thing, the union and the league, who can usually not agree on anything, got together fairly quickly and updated the protocols to add ataxia, which is what we saw when he was staggering. That is now in the protocols as far as taking a guy out, which. Right. It's kind of surprising that it wasn't in there to begin with.
Yeah, that's right.
But, when a guy's looking like he's drunk, there's obviously something wrong. But
if he goes to the wrong sidelines and puts his helmet on backwards, that's usually a good sign.
I mean, talk about sense of humor. This is serious, unfortunately. When Tua talked about he had a back injury, I mean, they actually said that in press conferences and expected people to believe it. And you got millions of people watching that might as well have been watching the Three Stooges with Don Knotts and Tim Conway or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous how the evasiveness is. Something's got to be done real quickly before that happens and someone doesn't get up, if you know what I mean.
I mean, there was a neurologist who's not affiliated
fired.
with. Yeah, he did. But I mean, it just shows you that there's no perfect solution. When you put a guy on the sideline whose job is to diagnose concussions, and he can't figure that the Tua had a concussion.
Yeah.
You talking about his first one or his second one?
The first one.
Yeah, the first one.
The
Yeah.
second one was
pretty odd.
But my wife's a nurse, for example. Amy's a nurse, and she said, we happened to be watching that game, and she said within 3 seconds, he's got a concussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
If a nurse can tell you that, I'm not a doctor. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I thought he had a concussion. A neurologist certainly should have, shouldn't he, Domo?
Well, I mean, they did examine him. I think they suspected, and I don't know what the examination involved that made made the neurologist come to the conclusion that he was okay to go back out there.
Yeah. All right, John, my college roommate, John McInerney, was an offensive lineman at Penn, and we're still best friends to this day, and John's done very well for himself in life, and he always talks about it. I mean, always talks about the togetherness of the college football team that he played on has helped him in so many situations in life, being on a team, not just college, but all sports, but specifically at Penn. When you were at Yale and a member of that team and learned different situations and how to deal with them, you've gone into the financial industry for 30-some years and been very successful. How much did football help with that?
Immensely. I mean, I think football, in order to play a sport, you have to be disciplined. You have to, put other distractions aside. You have to compete and work in an area where there's a lot of stress and pressure. You have to perform. And so that translates very easily into asset management. And, the whole team factor. I'm still friends with my grade school CYO football buddies. I mean, I have high school buddies from Bethlehem Catholic, Notre Dame grade school, Yale, and the pros. And I hang out with like equal number of each one of them. And so, I mean, I love those guys. It's just something, anybody's played a sport, I think, fully understands the blessings you get from just being in the trenches with somebody and sharing something and being able to sort of revisit that your entire life.
Tomo, you've been a part of, obviously, teams where you do something for a living that's very individual. You deal with other people, but it's you one way or the other. Have you ever been part of a team and gotten any of that element and feel like you've missed anything in life by not playing on a team at a high level? Because I think I have.
Yeah. I mean, playing sports in high school, you get a sense of what that camaraderie is. And I mean, I understand why players can't quit, because you can't take what you have, what a lot of these guys have, what Tom Brady, there's a reason he doesn't want to give it up, and it's certainly not money. Maybe he doesn't want to go home to Giselle, I don't know, but he's going to be giving up half. There's just something, that the competitiveness, the locker room camaraderie. You can't get that in real life.
No, absolutely not. And I remember after I retired, Joe Montana retired, and he was talking about the locker room stuff, and he mentioned, a bunch of different pranks he did, and one of them was putting saran wrap over a toilet, right? And I was like, I almost wanted to make a comeback because I'd never done that. And I thought, oh, my God, I missed out on that. You know, like, God, that's so good. I wish I'd done that.
It's amazing you hear guys like Montana, Wayne Gretzky, guys you don't think of pranksters. When they were asked what the part of retiring that bothered them the most is, they didn't talk about the money. They both made jillions of dollars, obviously, or the championships, anything else. They both said the locker room, the camaraderie of the locker room.
Totally.
Is what I really miss, and that's true with John Spagnola, obviously, as well.
Not only that, the beauty of the sport, at least football, and I hope I'm not cutting your break, but it's a meritocracy. So it's colorblind. And I think recently, it might have been Todd, who's the coach down in Tampa? Is it Todd Bowles?
Todd Bowles, yeah.
Somebody, he really ripped into a reporter who was trying to, he said, we're colorblind here. I mean, like, it's all meritocracy. We don't look there. She was saying, isn't it great that somebody took over as interim coach who's of color? And he said, I don't play that game. We don't do that here, you know. And I thought it was a great response.
Good for him.
Because we tend to focus too much on that. But the great thing about sport, it's just one color. It's your locker room. Doesn't matter who it is.
It's a great way to put it, and we'll be putting it more with John Spagnola. We'll go over the Eagles, and Damo and John talk about around the NFL what they noticed this weekend when the Eagle had a bye, and a lot of them were at the Citizens Bank Park for some Phillies games. Join us here at Hard Rock for live entertainment in the cafe every Wednesday. Enjoy some great food and our happy hour drink specials every Wednesday from 5 to 7. You can see Mike Lally this week. Friday Night live music every Friday 6 to 9 p.m. No cover, the best local artists on the main stage every week. Make your reservations. Brian Betchores this week, all at the Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia, 12th and Market Street. So we'll be back with Paul Domowitch and John Spagnola right after this.
Hard Rock Cafe in Center City has it all. Great food, free live entertainment on Friday nights, and they're the epicenter for special occasions. Let them rock and roll to you with catering for your next gathering or book a private event space for your band's next meeting. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or late night, let them turn it up at Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market Street. For more info, visit hardrockcafe.com.
I'm Lisa Thomas Laurie. If you're on Medicare, I've got great news. Keystone 65 HMO plans from Independence Blue Cross have earned 5 stars, Medicare's highest rating for 2022. Some plans have no monthly premiums, no deductibles, and no copays for primary care visits and some prescription drugs. Don't wait. Visit ibxmedicare.com/star.
Every year, Medicare evaluates plans based on a 5-star rating system. Keystone 65 offers HMO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Keystone 65 Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. This is a paid endorsement.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Fall into relaxation at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. For an introductory price of just $69.95, enjoy the tranquility of their massage services and the rejuvenating glow their facial services provide. They even have specialty services such as a pumpkin facial or their signature hot stone massage. Restore, relax, and reset at one of Hand and Stone's 57 locations in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, for an introductory price of just $69.95. Call or book online at handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
We now return to the Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia in downtown Center City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
And we're at the beautiful Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market. The city's bustling, excited right now about the Phillies, about the undefeated Eagles. We're here with John Spagnola, and it's game time here in Philadelphia, folks. And here at the Hard Rock, we're contributing by entering. You can enter rather to win a pair of Eagles tickets for the Eagles and Packers Sunday, November 27th, right after Thanksgiving. No purchase necessary. The bucket's here right now. If you're here at the Hard Rock, come on up and sign up. Just submit your business card or your name, phone number, and email, and you can enter to win these pair of tickets, again, to the Packer game. That's a Sunday night game, right?
Yes.
November 27th, yep, the week after Thanksgiving. A lot of things with the NFL are new. A lot of things are changing. John Spagnola is with us. And John, back in 2008, you have a career in financial services, and you're a smart guy. You went to Yale, and you were one of 5 finalists to the head hunting committee, search committee, went looking for when Gene Upshaw retired. They had the NFLPA. What was that like? Obviously, you didn't get the job. Don't know if you wanted it or not, but what was it like to be considered, and have you ever wanted to do something like that?
Yeah, I thought about it. I talked to my family about it at the time. It would have caused, relocation and stuff, and the kids were still, well, they kind of, late high school, early college. So I thought they had sort of grown up enough, and I could commute or whatever.
To New York, right?
Yeah, to D.C.
Oh, D.C.
Yeah, it's where they're located.
Okay.
It was a good process. Interviewed. I had a background with the chief counsel there. What was his name? Richard Bertelsen. Mm-hmm. And I had the history. That was part of the '92 strike, as part of the '87 strike. I had a team that didn't cross the picket line. I think I had the bones, if you will, and the bona fides. But I also felt that there were certain areas that I was, lacking also, and negotiation, a history of that kind of stuff. And so, they went with DeMaurice Smith. I think it was a good process. It seems like it worked out. And I was interesting. I was, happy to put my hat in the ring. It was just interesting to go through that process and look at something completely different.
It's funny. I mean, Troy was also a candidate at the time. And, things, he ended up kind of having a falling out right there with the union. But to end up on the other side of the negotiating table for the last 12 years or whatever as football operations director for the league now.
Yep, that's right. He was part of the mix.
Yeah.
They had a few different candidates, guys who were former
I remember
presidents.
there was an agent. There was a Trace Armstrong. I think another player.
That's right.
Ex-player.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple former presidents of the union too.
Yeah.
I was never.
That's
I was
right,
never
yeah.
that rank. I don't know if Mike Ken was
But you
in
were
the
Eagle
mix.
Scout.
Yeah, I was an Eagle Scout. That's it, Dolly.
Here we
I
are.
should have thrown that in, Jolly. You know
Here we
that?
are.
I missed that. That would have put me over the top.
Well, we got labor peace now in the NFL for a long time, and then the games are going on. Obviously, 17 games. Training camp's different. The early season's different. We're kind of settling in now. Eagles obviously 6-0 coming off the bye. And other than the Phillies and the interesting stuff in Philadelphia otherwise, we had an NFL to watch yesterday and what was going on. Damo and I talked about this before the show, John. How for real, people talk about the NFC at least, which has all of a sudden become the NFC beast. The Cowboys 5-2, obviously the Commanders are what they are. But the 6-1 Giants, for real, not for real, question mark? Where do you stand on them? Because if you believe they are what their record says they are, pretty close to the Eagles and doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think they've been able to win games late. They've been able to eke some games out. I don't think they've played some, real fierce teams. I think the NFC overall is weak. Tampa's weak,
Yep.
right? The Rams are weak.
Yep.
49ers are. There's just a lot of 500 teams in the NFC, except
And
for in
they
the
killed the
East.
Vikings, killed the Cowboys.
Yeah,
There's
right.
the Bills and the Chiefs, and pretty much everybody else is down a peg.
I think you're
Are
right
the Eagles
about
down to peg, Damo, or is it Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles, or the Eagles with them?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm not quite. We may know. We may know later on, but I don't think we know yet. But I think But the one thing about winning breeds confidence, breeds winning, breeds confidence. So the Giants are in that cycle now. It's the same thing happens when you lose. So they broke out of that mindset, and the more they eke out wins, I don't care if it's against Jacksonville, whoever it may be, the Commodores or Commanders or whatever they're called down in D.C.
I think it's the Commodores.
Commodores.
They had some really good hits in the 70s.
yeah, right.
The halftime song, just shout out to number one.
Yeah, get Lionel Richie out there
There we
to
are.
play quarterback. I don't know, but I think that they are building momentum, and that always helps you. There's nothing, there's nothing that substitutes that.
All right, we talked about Lionel Richie, Damo. A lot of quarterbacks on the carousel this weekend. A couple teams starting third stringers. Matt Rule fired in Carolina. P.J. Walker from Temple, taking them to a 21-3 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which obviously the defense had a lot to speak of. Matt Ryan from Penn Charter played the full game yesterday in the loss to the Titans, hurt himself, and they didn't just announce a new starter. They announced a new starter the rest of the year in Sam Ehlinger with Nick Foles the backup. Eagles going to play the Colts. We could see Nicky Six again, but
Is Ryan out for the year?
He's got a grade 2 shoulder separation.
grade 2 shoulder, not hammy, grade 2 shoulder separation. But
Yeah.
why announce he's out for the year? Obviously, they're having a disappointing season. It seems like the Colts, no matter what they get, underachieve.
They're not out of.
They're not out of the playoffs.
They're 3-3-1.
Yeah.
Tennessee's in first place at 4-2, so they're still
But it seems like there's a resignation there, and naming the guy that started the rest of the season. What do you get out of that?
I don't know. I'm not sure why they did it. I mean, it's possible they know for sure that Matt can't play. That shoulder separation is going to keep him out for the rest of the year, and they just decided to go ahead and turn the page. I don't know. I mean, he's not played terribly well, so maybe they just decided to go with a younger guy that's a little bit more mobile. It's going to eliminate some of those sacks that Matt's been taking. I don't know.
All right, John.
Matt deserves. There's a guy that deserves more out of his career than what he got. I mean, he's a local guy too, I guess, and that plays into it. But I've always felt Matt Ryan. I mean, that Super Bowl that they lost to New England was just so crazy. And he had the season, he had the years. Just seems like he didn't get the accolades he deserved. Yeah. And I kind of was hoping to work out, with the Colts. And now this could be. I'd hate to see it be a career ender for a great guy.
Well, the Colts last year had a guy named, I think it was Carson Wentz or something like that used to play for the Eagles. He's on injured reserve now. John asked Domo this as well, but Carson Wentz out for, I guess the injured reserve rules now are 4 weeks minimum. Mm-hmm. He's going to miss the Eagle game coming back, unfortunately. A lot of Eagle fans looking forward to seeing Carson. But when Carson Wentz comes back, in your opinion, does Carson Wentz start? Does Taylor Heineke start? Is Carson Wentz's short Washington audition over, or does he have more to go, more to look for?
I have no idea. I can't answer that with any kind of. I'm more concerned about will Ben Simmons play against the Sixers in Philadelphia.
You started off with a roar, Damo, huh?
I think it's going to be.
Oh, by the way, let me one thing that's very interesting. The doubles draw for the Australian Open came out today, and Joe Girardi and Doc Rivers are third seed among the men. Will they be able to play, guys?
We'll see.
But Carson Wentz, what's your take on that, Damo?
I think it's to be determined. They're going to see how Taylor Heineke plays. He gives them a little bit more energy, but he doesn't have the talent, the natural talent, the arm talent.
But teams
Carson Wentz
win
has,
that
but
he
Carson
plays
Wentz
with.
hasn't played up to that talent.
Yeah,
so,
right.
He throws too many interceptions.
It's interesting, though, the intangible, John. I mean, I firmly believe this, and I mean, it's just who I am. I believe the only goal a team strives for at the beginning of the year, barring being an absolute bottom feeder, is a championship. Not getting to the Super Bowl, not getting to the NBA Finals, winning. And winning, to me, is the only reason you play pro sports. Individual awards are nice, but they're irrelevant, basically, to me. You obviously want to thank your peers and the like, but in Taylor Heineke's case, he's obviously not the ultimate example of this. Jalen Hurts, a very good example of this. Somebody who may not light the talent meter on fire. Somebody, if you tally up their scores and whatever, may not be that great, but they have that winning attitude, and something about them leads a team over the top. I see that in Taylor Heineke. I see a lot more of it in Jalen Hurts. What do you think about that view in general?
I think it's a good observation. I think players rally around certain kinds of players, and that is the player with the golden arm. It's the player with the with the ability to lead in the huddle. I mean, I remember going to training camp, seeing guys, 7-on-7 drills, which are passing drills. They could rattle off the play. They could do the read. They could do, and then you see them in a preseason game, and their eyes are popping out of their heads. And you go, oh boy, and they say they play real fast so that nobody can understand.
Wait,
you
attended training camp?
Oh boy,
I thought you were always holding out.
no.
You're quick.
It's like they talk about it a lot today. The heart rate, is his heart rate up or is his heart rate down? Some guys' heart rates go down, and they, and the players see that, and then they respond. And so I think Taylor Heineke is one of those guys.
Yeah.
How much, Sean, do you feel that intelligence matters to an NFL player? Obviously, you don't have to be Albert Einstein to play professional sports. There are plenty of people. The easiest example for me, everybody talks about Larry Bird from French Lick, Indiana. But Larry Bird on a basketball court, to me, was Albert Einstein. He understood exactly what he had to do in that environment and could process it instantly. How important is raw intelligence and how important is the ability to process quickly on an NFL playing field? If you're playing against a D-back and you shift into a formation they're not aware of, how much is the head part of the game in your opinion?
I think there's book smarts and there's street smarts. All sports are street smarts. You can look at a linebacker can look at a tight end's stance and see, if there's a lot of pressure on his fingers or not as much pressure. And that'll tell him what the tight end's going to do. And you can tell by where the feet alignment are. I mean, there's just so much that goes into the game, studying the game, the tendencies. picking things out and being able to extrapolate and say, okay, this is going to lead to that. Yeah. Look at Butler's interception in the Super Bowl, right, against Russell Wilson.
Yep.
That was a play that they had seen. He had the guts and the tenacity to make a break on the ball. He could have looked like a complete idiot, but he had seen it, he knew it, and that's street smarts.
And he wasn't afraid to do it. Street smarts is one thing, but being afraid to do it's another thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if he had run like a little, fake in and out, I mean, it would have been all over. But he didn't. He made the play, made the big play at the big moment. And that's street smarts, that's guts, and that's something I don't think you can teach people.
When you look at Jalen Hurts, I mean, he comes out of a college program, 2 college programs where, I mean, he never had to make much more than one read. And if it wasn't there, he was gone.
Yeah.
What have you seen when you look at the way he's been able and the speed with which he's been able to process what he's seeing and the reads this year compared to last year?
I think he's.
Can we say that for after the break, guys?
Sure.
We got one more break. Phillies Bull session at 6. Sarge Gary Matthews is in the house. Phillies have apparently qualified for some type of baseball postseason. We'll clarify that at 6 o'clock. The city's on fire. Tremendous time to be here. We're here.
I have a great answer, too, so stick around.
Stick around. John Spagnola's got a great answer. Damo's got many of them. We're back following this break. Take care. Stay with us.
Hard Rock Cafe has it all. Great food takes center stage as they tune up your visit with free live music every Friday night at 6. Sponsored by Conshohocken Brewing Company. See Philly's best rocking the main stage while you enjoy Hard Rock favorites right here in Center City. Pickup, delivery, and catering available. For more info, visit hardrockcafe.com.
I'm Lisa Thomas Laurie. If you're on Medicare, I've got great news. Keystone 65 HMO plans from Independence Blue Cross have earned 5 stars, Medicare's highest rating for 2022. Some plans have no monthly premiums, no deductibles, and no copays for primary care visits and some prescription drugs. Don't wait. Visit ibxmedicare.com/star.
Every year, Medicare evaluates plans based on a 5-star rating system. Keystone 65 offers HMO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Keystone 65 Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. This is a paid endorsement.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Don't hang out alone in the man cave this football season. Hang out at Cheerleaders with sexy entertainers, $4 Miller Lights, Jameson specials, and awesome game day prizes during all Sunday and Monday football games. Stop in before, during, or after the game to see your favorite entertainers and your chance to win an awesome game day prize. The most epic game day experience is at Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, where champions play. Open daily from noon till 2 a.m.
We now return to the Hard Rock Cafe Philadelphia in downtown Center City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
All righty, back here. This Hard Rock Cafe is filling up. Got a couple teams doing pretty well here in town. John Spagnola had something for us on the other end, so cue's yours, John.
Yeah, you were asking me about Jalen Hurts and his development thus far, last year to this year, whatever else, and I'm impressed with his abilities to read a defense, to look at various levels. First of all, you have to say, what's the defense? What's it look? What do I think is going to happen on this play? Now, what's my progression versus this defense? So I'll juxtapose him, which is a fancy word for putting him next to Randall Cunningham, with whom I had experience. And I often think sometimes when you play quarterback and you're a gifted athlete, it works against you. Because you get confused after your first read, and you're a great athlete, you escape the pocket, you can make something happen. And you can do that, and Randall could do that, but he could never do it in a playoff game. He didn't win a single playoff game here under Buddy Ryan for that reason. Whereas I think Jalen Hurts is progressing to the point where he doesn't get rattled easily. He feels the pocket. He makes the reads. He's making the throws. And if everything falls apart, he's getting out of there and making a play. So I like what I see so far. And don't get me wrong, Randall was a great quarterback and everything else, but I did think that kind of limited his ability to get to that next level.
I always felt with Randall that he could have been so much more.
Yeah.
And he just...
Didn't Doug Scoville?
He was happy. Nah, you know what?
Buddy heard him. Buddy heard him and said, just drop
I
back and make
agree.
something happen.
Yeah.
And then he didn't hold his feet to the fire like he did everybody else.
And he was just happy
Yeah.
playing it the way he, the
he
let
did.
me be me thing instead of actually learning the
I'll
position.
give you a quick story, and I won't use all the language, but I said to him in one of his early starts, listen, we had a strong pattern. We flooded the strong side. The coverage went weak. Like we had numbers. Are you reading the safeties? He said, no. I'm reading the defensive tackles. Those bleep, 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 bleeps are trying to kill me. And I just said, I shook my head and walked away and said,
Not much you can come back with that.
No.
Well, you played a position, John, which, in my opinion, has changed in the last 30 years
Oh, yeah.
more than any other position in the NFL. Tight ends used to be glorified offensive linemen, and then it came a little bit toward pass receiving, and you got to be able to block. You still have to be able to block, but tight ends have become big wide receivers now, and you see all kinds of nickels and defenses designed to stop tight ends who are big guys who aren't easy to cover. George Kittle, obviously Gronkowski just a couple years ago. Are you intrigued by how the positions changed, and could you play in the NFL today?
I'm intrigued. I'm jealous. I would love to play where they can't hold you up, they can't hit you going across the middle, they can't hit you in the head. I think, you had the tough guy, the Ditkas of the world, and the John Mackeys, who were athletic, big blockers, though. Mark Bavaro was a guy I always admired. Todd Christensen, I thought, wouldn't block anybody. Kellen Winslow kind of redefined the position in the early
senior.
80s. Yeah, senior. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm dating myself. Although they used to call him Helen in San Diego because he didn't block anybody either. But he sort of, I think, tapped into what the potential of the mismatches with strong safeties, linebackers would be. Yeah. Now it's just turned into, they're bona fide wide receivers just lining up a little closer to the tackle.
With at least one exception. I mean, that's what I feel distinguishes Goddard from a lot of these guys. He's a better blocker than a lot of them.
Yep. Yes.
Adds something to the run game and can still be a threat as a
runs
receiver.
well after the catch.
Yeah.
He's got the whole package.
He sure does. Yep. But another guy with the whole package. This is time in the NFL. Trading deadline is November 11th. Trading deadline, obviously, in baseball makes a big deal of everything. Eagles, couple nice acquisitions. Usually the NFL trade deadline comes and goes with a whimper, but we saw the first bit of action last week. Robbie Anderson traded by the Panthers on Monday. But last Thursday, Christian McCaffrey for a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Somebody said, can they get a 1? No, but 2, 3, 4, and 5 is pretty cool to the 49ers. What did you guys think of that deal? 49ers end up getting blown away by Kansas City yesterday, but it looks like financially it makes sense. Tom, what's your spin on the whole deal?
Boy, I would not spend that on a running back. I mean, I realize Christian McCaffrey's different. He's a versatile player who is as much a receiver as he is a running back.
It fits in that offense. It seems like very well.
He's got an injury history.
Yep.
San Francisco was willing to pay that price because they've got a ton of compensatory picks, so they can afford to pay that and still have a lot of picks in the draft. But boy,
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the running back position has really dropped down, hasn't it? I mean, you can have running back by committee now.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see a team with the one back. Maybe Saquon Barkley's an exception, or maybe there's a handle, 2 or 3 other people
Derrick
like that.
Henry.
But I mean, I kind of grew up in the era of the dominant running back leading the team, and now it's just sort of plug and play with running backs.
Why has it changed, Tom?
Well, because it's a wide receiver, it's a passing game.
Passing,
the run-pass ratio is flipped from 2 to 1 to 1 to 2. So you can't win in a Super Bowl without good wide receivers anymore.
Yeah.
But you can win the Super Bowl without a superstar running back.
And we'll find out the value that the NFL puts on running backs this offseason because there are so many, including Miles Sanders, who are going to become free agents. And they're not going to make the killing that a lot of people think they are because of just what John said, that they're interchangeable.
Well, let me get to a couple of things. We only got a couple minutes left. Obviously, Miles Sanders will be an interesting decision for the Eagles, who are going to pay Jalen Hurts, and that's going to reduce the luxuries that they can afford.
We don't know that that's going to happen.
Well, if
right
Jalen
away.
Hurts is alive at the end of the season, we know that's going to happen.
Again, we've talked about this before, Jolie. I don't know that he wants to jump out there and do a deal right away. I mean, if
He may not. But he's
Lamar
gonna get-
Jackson's waiting, you're going to wait till.
But remember, Lamar Jackson was the first-round pick. Even though he was 32nd, Jalen Hurts was not, and can become a free agent after this season.
Yes.
Because he's in the fifth year.
But they can franchise him.
Yeah,
for
they
2
can
years,
franchise
too.
him, absolutely. There's a lot of options. But do you see any Howie Roseman looking for anything, guys, as we get toward that deadline? Is there a position that either injury or lack of depth has caused the need at?
I don't see anything, but then I'm not that informed. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I'd be winging it if I said he's looking for something. I mean, I think you need
Maybe a pass rusher?
yeah, a pass rush would be nice. A linebacker in coverage would be nice.
I think he likes. He's got a lot of draft picks over the next couple of years. They're set for to keep stockpiling this team with young players. I don't think he wants to give a lot up. We've talked about this. I think maybe a kick returner. I mean, that's about the only. And that's a painless trade deadline acquisition.
Yeah.
You're not paying much for one, so I don't know. But that'd be my guess. I don't think they're going to do much, if
All right.
anything.
This weekend's the Battle of Pennsylvania, quote unquote. You see any trouble? Mike Tomlin's team losing to Miami last night. Obviously, every NFL team has to be respected. Do you see the Steelers as much more than a speed bump this week? We only got a minute, guys.
I think you have to beware for every team. I think I'm worried about setup games for the Eagle. This could be a setup game. They play a Thursday game afterwards. That might be distracting them as well. They just have to go in and establish themselves early. But if they don't, it could be a dogfight.
How about that, Tom? With the World Series, Eagles playing in Houston Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And the Phillies, I'm even getting it myself now. The Eagles playing in Houston on Thursday. Is this deal working out? Does somebody upstairs know something we don't?
City on fire.
No kidding.
John, we've had a blast having you. Always like having you on the
Thank
show.
you. Thanks for having me.
You've added
guys.
a
Good
whole
seeing
lot.
you both.
Thanks so much, and let's do it again next year, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Damo, I think I took your Eagles. Damo, anything quick about the Steelers to say?
No, I mean, they're coming off a bye. They need to be ready to play. I mean, because Pittsburgh's not going to roll over.
They're not going to roll over, neither the Philadelphia Phillies. The bull session's coming up with Dan Baker and Dickie Knowles with Gary Matthews here at the Hard Rock Cafe. I'm Paul Jolovitz. Chris Irmer has produced this fine show. Keith Noonan and Joe LeCompte back at the station. Next week, we have Mike Quick as our guest, 5 o'clock. Next Monday, Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. From the Hard Rock Cafe, this is Paul Jolovitz for Paul Domowitch. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Go Phillies and go Eagles.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of WBCB 1490 and 107.3 FM and heard around the world at WBCB1490.com.